Hello, welcome to the basement. I found something I will definitely be passing along to my brother Richard. It is a t-shirt. It says, Save Thistletown. And what else is there? Interface, Safety, Triad, Volta, Adolescent Services. Anyway, on the other side, it says, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. And it says on there, as I quote from Margaret Mead. Anyway, this was a movement back, oh golly, I'm trying to think. It might have been 30 years ago. And the reason it was so important is Thistletown was a place, let's back up a bit. There are a lot of autistic people in the world these days. And some people who are moderately, you can have 100 people in a room that all have autism. And they're all different. Anyway, my brother and his wife and his family have a son who is what they call moderately severely autistic, which it's funny when you think of it. Moderately severe. Anyway, and he was getting help at this place called Thistletown. And along came the Mike Harris government, who said, oh, look, land. We can sell that. We can do things. We don't need that there. But you see, Thistletown was a place, it was kind of like, there were community-based agencies, but basically, if for whatever reason they failed you and it wasn't a good fit and it just wasn't, then you ended up at Thistletown, and this was from all over the place. And it was like the last resort. And then they came along and said, oh, it's on pretty land. Let's close it. When looking back on it, what they probably should have done is said, okay, it's on like big pretty land. It doesn't have to be on so much land. Let's find another place. We'll build a new facility on a more efficient bit of government land somewhere and carry on. But of course, we'll leave it open until we get it all perfectly ready to go and then move the services there. But oh no, we have to close it. Anyway, thus began the Save Thistletown movement, of which my brother and his wife and family were at the forefront of, and I was minorly involved. I went to some events and things, but literally let me back up, sorry. It was not Mike Harris. Mike Harris came in after. This is Bob Ray. This is the Bob Ray days. Mike Harris came in afterwards and vowed, oh, no, we're not touching that. No, because it blew up in Bob Ray's face. Now, Bob Ray was the NDP premier, and he was the one who decided we're going to close that. Bob Ray led a thing way back when, and I was irked by this. They had these things called Ray Days, where they didn't lay people off, but they just meant that you had to take these days off or something or other. And I looked at my situation and decided, well, I don't have to worry because I don't make enough to be affected by that. But then, of course, they arbitrarily just cut my hourly pay, which I was irked. And I said, what do you mean? How do you, oh, well, we can do that. Anyway, I was irked. Anyway, forget what I said about Mike Harris. It's the one good thing that Mike Harris did, was not mess with Thistletown. Anyway, so the movement is on, and my brother and his people chased down Mike Harris and his representatives all over the place. They had meetings and things where they'd say, oh, don't you worry, it'll be fine. We're from the government. We're going to take care of you. And it really was a happening. I do believe that the fight to save Thistletown is still used by other activists to learn, like, okay, what do you do? For example, one of the things, and this is before such immediate communications were available, But my brother got every fax machine of every news outlet, big and small, all over the place. And as soon as anybody said anything, he would fax them all. And then all the news people would go, oh, look at that. That's what they said. So, like, for example, there was some event going on, some MPP member of provincial parliament was going on, and they were there protesting and stuff, and he came out to try and basically get them go away and shut up. He said, don't worry, the matter is under review. Well, it really wasn't, but then he said it was. So then, of course, almost probably within an hour of him saying that, every news outlet, big and small, was like, oh, it's under review. It's under review. Oh, it's under review. Well, then they said, well, no, we really didn't mean it's under review. But anyway, the long and the short of it is, after continuous, relentless pressure, the government backed off and said, okay, we're not going to do that. And life carried on. Now, it's funny, because once again, they could have said, okay, we're going to build another facility. Because I don't remember the whole thing, but it was some other thing that ended up getting converted into this great place. And actually, you know what? People from around the world came there to study, autistic people and helping and supporting and all that stuff. And here it is. They're like, no, 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 we're going to take it away. Anyway, so they never did. I'm going to toss this up here because there's a Richard box there, and I will send that off with him. Anyway, continuous, relentless pressure. Yeah. So, but mind you, by now, here it is, some 30 years later, someone came on Karis and he wouldn't touch it, wouldn't talk about it, would have nothing, and never, ever, ever, ever made a move to close it. Then in came the Liberals. And everything seemed fine and dandy and stuff. And then out of the blue one day, with no consultation, no whatever, the guy in charge of, I guess it was health care or whatever, Eric Hoskins was his name, just announced, oh yeah, we're closing that. Didn't consult with the parents, didn't consult with anybody, just, oh yeah, we're doing that. So here we have our supposedly more friendly government, of which we knew somebody who was in the government very well, and she eventually became premier, and that was Kathleen Wynne. And I either called her or sent her a message and said, do you know what's going on here? And see, she used to go to the autism walk every year. I don't know if she goes anymore. But anyway, somehow or another, it didn't matter what anybody said, they became well, too bad, so sad, we're closing it. And it wasn't good. It was not good. But mind you, at that time, my brother and his family were no longer receiving services from there. And the people who were there, and, whatever even though they were coached on, okay, continuous relentless pressure, somehow they just, oh, well, we're going to tie a ribbon around a tree, or we're going to, do something. But anyway, it closed, which was a travesty. Travesty. Sometimes, I would rather a politician that makes an honest mistake and then corrects it than just somebody who is hell-bent on evil. And I think it's a funny thing, because at the time of Mike Harris and his people, who had forced amalgamation on all kinds of places, which I think was evil, and it wasn't, people did not want this, and I think we're still paying the price for it now. Yeah, it's funny, I guess he thought that, oh yeah, well, if you take 5 cities and you put them all together, or was it 6? I guess it was 6. Then when it comes to all the workers, they'll figure out all the things, and all the wages will be moved down to the lowest common denominator. Well, that's not the way it went. They were harmonized up. Anyway, so yes, back to Thistletown. I guess there were some local agencies that were opened, and things. But it's funny how everyone's like, oh, yeah, we want to help. But don't you dare put like a group home like that in our neighborhood. Oh, no. Oh, no. Don't do that. Um, but it's funny. I used to help at the Church of St. Timothy, and there was a group home close by, and I don't know what the people who were in there all. I don't know. I don't know if it was autism. Anyway, certainly they were uh, challenged. And I think there was a fight when they wanted to put that thing there. But then, here's the welcoming church, and the church actually did welcome them, and a lot of them did come to services and became a special part of the community, which often seems to happen when people are like, oh, no, don't do that. No, 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 no. And then when things come around, and it does happen, then it can all, work out. Although, it depends on the kind of facility and people, and I suppose if they had a halfway house for axe murderers, and they had a good supply of axes in the closet, that probably wouldn't go over so well. Anyway, so lately my brother's been involved in another healthcare fight, in that Doug Ford is deciding to sort of amalgamate healthcare emergency places, and the first thing they did was go to Minden and say, "Oh yeah, no, we don't." Anyway, so they fought and they fought and they fought and raised money and did stuff, but it's still closed. Now they have, instead of having an emergency room or emergency department, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week service, they now have a um, oh, what is it called? A clinic, urgent care clinic that's open now and again. And if you really run into trouble, you have to go to Halliburton, which is about half an hour away. So for people that live at the south end of the county, which is probably about 20 minutes from Minden, their trip to a hospital is now probably between 40 and 50 minutes rather than between 15 and 20. Um, and that might be cut down depending on the time of day, or it might be longer depending on the time of day and certainly the time of year. So certainly somebody suffering from a stroke or cardiac issue would have a better time. Is urgent in these things. Anyway, so they are fighting that. But, they sort of got away with it. It's the same as anything with it seems, this government. They try a little something, they get their foot in the door, and then they'll do it again, and they'll do it again, and they'll do it again. Like with Service Ontario, like, oh yeah, these places that have been doing a fine job for decades, and they're almost like little family-owned businesses that know what to do, and you go and you see the nice lady again, renew your light. Suddenly it's like, now I don't know. Now we're putting them in the staple stores, and don't get me started on the green belt. Oh yeah, we won't touch the green belt. Well, except when we want to sell a bunch of land, and 91% of it will go to people who happen to be at my daughter's wedding, and they stand to make $9 billion. But anyway, and then of course, it's funny. They say, "Oh yeah, we got to build houses. We need houses. We need housing. We need housing." And then what happens? They go to wherever they're going to do it, and of course, the local government is responsible for getting all the electrical and the water things and everything else sorted out. And you talk to them, and they say, "Yeah, you know what? We won't be ready to have any housing here until we put in all that infrastructure." And that's probably going to take 30 years. Anyway, certainly Doug Ford got caught with his hand in the cookie jar then. And then, of course, there's the Science Center and stuff. But mind you, what? The sad thing is all governments screw up. And it was good of the Bob Rae government to realize, okay, you know what? This is not good. And they reversed themselves instead of just digging in their heels and saying, "No, that's it. We're going to do it." Ah, yes. Anyway, so something like never doubt that a small group of committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, is the only thing that ever has. Well, I hope that's still true. Anyway, so that shirt will go to Richard. I may find more Thistletown things around here. They had buttons and things and stuff. And by the way, I did take the flag upstairs. I took the top of an Omega upstairs. I took some Christmas lights upstairs. And I do have to get this area cleared out and do some more sort of sorting of the sorted to get things not necessarily out the door, but certainly marked and ready to go. And yes, I do need to take pictures of some things and list them online because, you know what, I didn't save newspaper. Although I have some newspapers, but I don't have stacks and stacks and stacks of newspapers. Or like flyers from, 15, 20, 30 years ago from Dominion, or Loblaws, or No Frills, or Shoppers Drug Mart, or wherever. I don't. I have strange things like old phones, magazines with Wayne Gretzky on the front from some time or another. Canada's greatest triumphs. By TSN. Let's see here. When was this from? It doesn't really say. Maybe it's just a timeless thing. Maybe it is. But anyway, there's Wayne Gretzky on the front, Mario Lemieux, and Paul Henderson. And it's a little bent. It's a little warped. But aren't we all? Who's this? Team Canada 87. Fit to be all tied up. Yes. Marc Messier is an overwhelming physical presence. Exhibit A, Czechoslovakia's fallen Bedrich Skrban. Anyway, I will, chances are, find a good hockey person who's interested in this. Or donate it. I will see. Anyway. So, funny. One t-shirt, much to talk about. And when it comes to other things going on in the world, the world is a dangerous place. And it's very sad. Because all most people want to do is go to work, pay their bills, enjoy their family, enjoy the weekends, enjoy their friends, relatives, perhaps even their old vintage computers, their hobbies, their cars, their stamp collecting, their scrapbooking, their, holidays, and be as happy and as healthy for as long as possible. And then along comes people who just want to hurt people. And sadly, it's not just governments. It happens in workplaces. It happens with neighbors. Yeah. Yep. Anyway, enough for now. I will continue to get things out of here, get things continue to be sorted and moved, and carry on. Thanks for coming to the basement. Bye for now.